Hey, I'm And.
And I'm Beck.
And we are the Gold Diggers, because we believe there's gold found in everyone.
Everyone is unique, interesting and exciting with a great story to share.
And we aim to find it.
The question is, can we rise to the challenge and strike gold? Stay tuned to find out as we chat to today's mystery guest.
Honey, you're my sugar.
So this is how it works. One of us knows our mystery guest and the other doesn't. And today it's Beck's turn to discover the gold in our special guest, Carmen Nielsen. Welcome, Carmen.
Thank you.
Now, did I pronounce your name right?
Yes.
Nielsen,
yeah, you did.
Welcome to the show, Carmen.
Thank you.
So good to have you.
You too.
It's good to have another young person in the chair. It's lovely. Carmen's 25.
Yes.
Not long been married. She
No.
was a COVID wedding. So we can go into that a
Yes.
little bit. Married to Matthew.
Oh, lovely.
And that's it. That's all you get.
That's all you give me.
Sending Beck out the room.
Radio.
So welcome, Carmen. So good to have you.
Thank you.
Just to give a brief introduction to you, you're actually South African, aren't
Yes.
you? And how old were you when you moved here?
I was 18, just turned 18.
Yeah, which isn't that long ago.
No.
And you sound as Australian as they come,
Oh.
which is amazing because you actually could only speak Afrikaans when you moved to
Yes.
Australia.
Yeah.
But you learnt English really, really quickly, and even the accent. You've got rid of the accent. That was a really hard accent to lose.
Yeah.
But you've done it because you wanted to study here, and in particular psychology. And recently you graduated with a master's in psychology.
Yes, yeah.
And I know there's a whole story behind that. And, you know, at one point you wanted to give it up, but it's actually led you to the point now where there's two things that are really significant that you do. One is the Hot Chocolate Circle,
Yeah.
which is for young teen girls to come together and talk about their mental health and talk about some of the issues that really don't get discussed in a family home, in a safe environment that really is just giving into young teenage girls and aiding their mental health. And
Yeah.
the other thing that's really impressive that you do is you're about to launch a website called MiiND, which is MiiND.
Yes, that's correct.
And it is tools and resources for teens and parents with struggling teens that are struggling with mental health. And there's heaps of resources on there. I got a behind the scenes look into this week. And I have to say, I'm really impressed. And I just think it's a fabulous thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
And like, it is just so high quality. It's totally interactive website. Can't wait for it to be launched because I just know it's going to be such a valuable resource for many young people that are struggling with their mental health. So looking forward to hearing a bit more about your story and what got you into that. So I'll bring Beck back in and see what she can pull out.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Honey, you're my sugar.
Welcome back, Beck.
Oh, thanks for having me.
What do you mean thanks for having you? It's
Back
your
in the
podcast.
studio. I'm just messing with you.
It's good that you're back.
Thanks. It's good to be back. It's been so long.
Carmen has just got one of those beautiful faces that just is very
does.
smiley.
Yes.
Puts you at ease.
you.
Yeah. Well, I am going to start with a bit of a doozy question.
Go for
If
it.
there was one thing in your life that you would do differently, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. Take more breaks and don't overwork.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Good advice.
Yeah.
So was there a time in your life that you overworked to learn that lesson?
Yeah, so I went straight, so I'm from South Africa,
Yeah.
moved here 7 years ago, straight into uni, straight into studying psychology.
Yeah.
And I've always been a high achiever. I've always wanted to do really well. And so I put a lot of pressure on myself to do the best I can do. And anyone that studies psychology would know that it is a very competitive course to do.
Yeah.
Because firstly you have to get into your honours and then you have to get into your masters, and there's only a selective amount of people that can get into your masters.
Yeah.
So I worked extremely hard, went straight into doing my bachelor, then did my honours, and then thought, okay, I'm going to take a break now after my honours before applying for masters.
Yeah.
and I'm going to go traveling and I'm going to get married because that's when I got engaged. And then COVID hit. And I was like, oh, okay. So during the COVID pandemic, it really gave me time to, I guess, take a bit of a break.
Yeah.
But not really, because I was still writing blogs for other psychology clinics and still working, and then went straight into my master's program and again back into the work really hard, get as much experience as I can, do placements, unpaid placements. And then towards the end of my master's program, I started getting really sick and I had a bit of a health scare. And I was really, really burnt out. I started blaming my health issues on the uni, on psychology, on mental health. It was kind of like I got really bitter towards mental health. And everyone that knows me is that I'm very passionate about helping young people. And for as long as I can remember, I've wanted to help young people. And so when I started feeling really bitter towards it and bitter towards helping people, bitter towards psychology in general and blaming psychology and losing that sense of purpose is when I realized, wow, like I'm actually pretty burnt out and I need to take a break. And so now working as a provisional psych and helping young people, I now actually do what I preach is to, and we always tell people, take care, do self-care activities, take care of yourself, take breaks. But because we live in this fast-paced environment, it's kind of, we're in this hustle culture. We need to get things done and we need to achieve, that I forgot to take a break. And so I went through that.
And being a high achiever, you can be quite hard on yourself, can't you?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel like most people that study psychology are highly perfectionistic.
Yeah.
And so I always wanted to do the best.
Always pushing yourself.
Yes.
You can squeeze another hour out of this day. Or wow.
Or do this extra bit of stuff to gain more experience in the field. And
Yeah.
Because you're actually quite young to have got your master's degree at this point. I mean, how long have you been graduated?
Nearly 2 years.
Okay, so you'd have got your master's at 23.
24.
24.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, turning 26 soon.
And have you always been a high achiever, even from primary school? Yes.
Yeah, always been a high achiever. I actually recently did a strengths test and they said that my top strength is achievement.
Yeah.
So I feel like I always have to get stuff done, always have to achieve in order to feel that sense of accomplishment.
Yes. I was going to say, you'll find that you'll accomplish a lot in your life because of the way that you are, but you've learnt a really important lesson very young, which was probably going to assist you for the rest of your life in reaching burnout at your age or close to burnout, is really going to set the stage for a healthy lifestyle from here on in, isn't it? Because you've learnt that wisdom. And also being able to help others when you recognise what you saw in yourself, what you were feeling, you'll be able to pick that up in others, won't you?
100%.
So, Carmen, one of the things that Ange said about you before I left was that you had a COVID wedding. So tell me about that. I know there was a lot of upheaval over weddings during COVID, and I'm still hearing now that people are still catching up on their weddings that were planned during that time. Yeah. So what happened with your situation?
It was pretty hectic. So we were going to get married in June. I think it was June 25th.
Yeah. 2020,
yeah. And then about 3 months before is when everything started getting really serious, because before that people were thinking, it'll rush over. Yeah, it'll rush over. It's not really a thing. And then we started getting our vendors contacting us, and they told us, okay, we really need to now decide whether we're going to go ahead with the wedding or whether we're going to push it to the next year. And then Matt and I just thought, it's just going to be so much easier. Let's just push it a year. Let's change all our wedding plans, all the vendors. And everyone was so nice. They didn't charge us extra. They just moved it to the following year.
Because I guess it would have determined how many people you could have had at that time, or pushing it to another year.
I think at that time you could only have 10 or 20 guests, and you all had to wear masks and that
not
sort
great
of stuff.
for photos,
I know you got family coming over from South Africa.
Yes, we had guests that were invited, and then they couldn't come, but then they couldn't come the following year either because the borders were still shut. Yeah, which it was sad, but it was a very nice intimate wedding. I think we were going to have a lot more guests originally, and then we only ended up having, I think, 60 guests at the end, so it was a lot nicer. We could actually talk to everyone.
And so when you went through that illness phase and the burnout, was that during COVID as well, around the same time?
Yeah, so towards the end of my master's is when we all had to get the vaccine, and we had to get a double shot in order to finish our prac. And so I worked so hard during my bachelor, my honours, beginning of masters, and the uni never told us that we had to get it, but it was pretty much framed that if you don't, you can't finish prac, which means you can't graduate. So in a sense, we all felt a little bit forced to get the vaccine.
It's a lot of work to not be able to go forward, isn't it?
Yeah, and I had a lot of friends that they just gave everything up. They stopped, didn't complete their degrees because they just didn't want to get the vaccine. But I just felt that it was my purpose to become a psychologist and to help young people, so I just had to get through it. So I went and I got the vaccine. I felt really uncomfortable about it, and then about a month after the second dose, I got diagnosed with myocarditis. So I had heart palpitations. I was pretty sick. I've always been a very active person, so I love my Pilates. I love going to the gym, walking, hiking, swimming, everything like that. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't do any of that. So that's why I started blaming the university, blaming psychology, blaming mental health.
Yes.
And then that paired with burnout was not a good mixture.
It's horrible, isn't it? When you're physically restricted, you're used to being an active person, and then you've got to adapt to restrictions, not just mandates, but restrictions physically. It does impact your mental health quite significantly.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, so that was not a fun time to go through.
So have you still got effects from that, or do you have to adjust your lifestyle accordingly?
So for a while after that, I was really struggling.
Yeah.
And then I go to church and I kept praying, and I think over a series of, it didn't happen, I feel like I wasn't healed instantly, but over a series of a couple of months, it just disappeared. And so I didn't have any heart palpitations anymore.
You can exercise
like
as normal.
I can exercise. Yeah, I can drink coffee again, which I love because I'm addicted to coffee.
Yeah. Me too.
That might be contributed to the palpitations.
Oh, that's
so
wonderful.
That's all good now.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And you're now working as a psychologist?
Provisionally. So still getting all my hours up.
Yeah. So your heart to help young people, what does that involve? In what way do you want to help young people?
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to help young people. And when I started studying psychology, that was my main vision and my main motivation to get through all the studies.
Did that stem from something that happened previously?
I feel like there's so many interwoven stories that led me to wanting to help young people. One of it being is that when I was younger, there was this really amazing program called the Hot Chocolate Circle. And it was a program that was made for young girls. I must have been between 8 to 10 years old.
Was this in South Africa?
In South Africa, And it was a program where they taught us to love ourselves, to appreciate ourselves, what it meant to be a woman and what it meant to look after ourselves. And that made such a big impact in my life. There was some mental health stuff interwoven into the program, but it was not just purely mental health. And then once I went through that program, I told myself that I want to do something like that. That program made such an impact in my life that I wanted to recreate something like that when I could, or when I had the chance to do so.
That's wonderful.
So that's one of them.
Yeah.
And you do that now, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
So tell me about that. How do you implement that?
So before we get to that, because I feel like there's such a big other story that led me to that. Yeah. So after the burnout and losing purpose and not wanting to do anything in the mental health field, I felt extremely lost, and I keep calling it my quarterly life crisis. I came to a point where it's like, so I've done all this study, but what am I going to do now? I don't want to, because I was so bitter that I just did not want to do anything to do with psychology. So we went to Tasmania on a little holiday, my husband and I, and we took a nice break because he was really smart. I think he could see that I was burnt out and I just needed a break from everything. And because I really enjoyed planning our wedding and planning the styling for our wedding, he surprised me with it's like a wedding floristry and styling course while we were in Tasmania.
Oh, nice.
And so that was also a lot of fun, just to, I guess, get my mind off of everything and get it off psychology. Yeah. And I came back from Tasmania and I felt really motivated, wanting to start a business, wanting to do wedding styling. And so I contacted my friend Tanika, and she's got a wedding floristry company. And so I thought, well, this will be amazing. I can do the styling, she can do the floristry, and we'll start this amazing company together. Yeah. And we went for a coffee, and the whole time, every time I brought up floristry or wedding or styling, it was kind of like she was just kicking back saying, no, like, you have to do psychology, you have to do mental health, you have to help young people, Carmen, you have to help young people. And I was like, wow, every time I just could not get a word out of let's start a company, and she would say, no, you have to contact Strength Potential, call Strength Potential, message Jessie. And I was like, who is this Jessie person from Strength Potential, and what is Strength Potential? But then afterwards I just had this feeling that, okay, I have to message these people and see what it's all about. Yeah. And so messaged Jessie, just saying, it was really strange actually. I was like, hey, I'm Carmen. I'm a provisional psychologist. I would love to catch up. Let's get a coffee. And then he just messaged back, amazing, let's catch up tomorrow, let's have a coffee. So we had a coffee, and then it felt like a full-on interview. And I didn't even know what I was interviewing for. I had no idea what the company was about, what they did. And it's funny because I didn't even try to do any research before meeting up with him. I just thought I'll just see what it is. Yeah. And then the next day he said, okay, let's do another full-on interview. So went through another interview process, and then they called me and said, I've got the job. And at that stage I still didn't know what the job was. What it was.
So you were just going off the instruction of your friend,
yeah,
but you didn't know you were actually applying for a job.
I had no idea.
That's amazing.
And then about a week after, the treasurer Ross, he emailed me and said, let's catch up and have a chat. I was like, what is going on? Who are these people? And I spoke with Ross. He's this lovely man, and he asked me, Carmen, would you like to write school programs for us for girls? And so when I heard that, and then 5 years prior to that, which is 6 years ago now, I had a dream of creating a mental health platform, a free mental health platform with resources for young people to support them, because I saw that there was a gap. And when he brought this up, writing a program for girls, a school program, and then talking about also potentially creating resources for young people, I was like, wow, this is why I was directed to this amazing company. This is why I'm here.
That's amazing.
And so they gave me, because I always wanted to do it, I just didn't know how to start it. And from then onwards, it was so strange. Just after that meeting, the purpose is just, it came back. Yes. And the motivation came back.
Wow,
So I just needed
meeting.
that break.
What a great friend of yours
Yeah.
to identify the passion in your heart and know that that was your calling, so to say.
100%.
And to then keep pushing you in that direction even when you didn't want a bar of it. And
Yeah, she
she's like,
just
don't
kept
think
pushing.
anything else. Yeah, she's stopping you from going the other way, and
Yeah.
this is where you're meant to go.
And sometimes we can let
Exactly.
those negative experiences in our life steal the joy from what we're actually meant to be doing.
Yes.
And so it is great that you got pushed back on the right track.
Yeah.
Great friend there.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And to be writing courses for young people in schools, that's it was such a great fit. And you didn't even know you were applying for that.
No. And the whole program changed
Love
so
this.
much since then, or the whole like what we're doing now is again completely different to what we originally planned to do. So I then brought the whole idea of the hot chocolate circle to Strength Potential, and I did some research to see if it was still running in South Africa and if we could potentially do something like that here and still use the name. But unfortunately, they don't run in South Africa anymore.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that the name was still available and it wasn't run in South Africa, I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing it now. I'm going to take this name, this Hot Chocolate Circle, which meant so much to me, and I'm going to recreate it here and help young girls. So we've been privileged enough to run one coping with stress program for young girls, and it went really well. The girls were really engaged, and it's a lot of fun working with young girls and just teaching them basic life skills or basic skills, because a lot of people with something like stress, a lot of people don't even understand why we have that stress response, and that our bodies are literally designed to keep us safe. And so when we do experience that stress response, it's actually just our bodies getting us ready to fight the danger or fight the threat. And this is actually really helpful when it comes to escaping from a dangerous situation, like running from, you shouldn't run from a snake, but escaping from a snake or escaping from a bear or whatever it might be.
Yeah, it's protection.
It's a survival instinct. But the tricky part is that our brains find it really difficult to distinguish between an actual threat and a perceived threat. So sometimes like an upcoming exam or having to do a presentation at school can seem really threatening and challenging, and that then triggers that alarm system in our bodies that gets us ready to, I guess, fight or flight and get away from that threat. But that's not always helpful in those situations, because when you are in an exam or doing a presentation, you want your body to be focused. You don't want to be in that fight response of I have to get out of this position or freeze.
And I think sometimes we don't even know when we feel stressed. But our body gives us signs, doesn't it? And it's I like the fact that you're educating on this, because to know those signs can help us to adjust our lifestyle. But so many of us, we don't understand what the signs are, and we just keep going until the point then we actually have a breakdown or something physically happens to us.
And what advice do you give to the girls, because you're specifically talking to school children, what advice do you give them for exam or that kind of stress involving exams and school presentations?
Our program is an 8-week program. We always start with basic psychoeducation. So we just teach the girls what is stress and what are the symptoms. And then we get them to identify their symptoms that they experience, because we all know that we experience stress differently. And then once we've done that, we teach them basic skills like calming exercises. So something very simple like taking a deep breath in and taking a deep breath out just signals to that alarm system in our brain that we are okay, we are safe, and we can get through this. So just teaching them.
And that this is not
techniques.
a life-threatening situation.
Yeah.
Even though our body's reacting to it like it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of the girls actually responded to that just after understanding why it happens, that it's normal. Experiencing stress is a normal response. And that there's things that we can do to really easily just calm us down.
That's awesome. So you've run your first course, And how did the girls respond to that?
Really well. The girls were so cute. They one thing that really warmed my heart is that they would just run into the room every time. They got so excited just to be there.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, the girls asked me, "Are you going to do it again? Can we come next year? Is there going to be another one? When's the next one?" So they were really keen to get started. And also at the end, we created our own stress action plans.
Yeah.
So we wanted the girls to create their own resources that they can take home and look at.
Yeah.
And when they were writing things down, it was like, wow, they actually took some of these strategies on board. And because sometimes when you work with young people, you don't really know if they're taking anything in or what they're taking in.
Yeah.
But then to see them writing it down, that they actually took in what we said.
It's resounding with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did
really
describe
special.
most teenagers. You can't tell whether they're absorbing the information or not.
You don't know.
Until they come out later with
Yeah.
repeating what you said. It's like, you
Oh,
were
you were
listening. 10 points.
And some of the activities where they seemed very disengaged was the ones that they remembered the most.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That is incredible.
Which kind of makes sense because, like, when you think about, say, the way, well, I'm not going to typecast anyone, but I was going to say men, they have good conversations when they're doing something together, right? But it may seem that they're distracted because they might be playing pool or they might be working around a car or something, but that's when they're taking in the most. So I guess that makes sense. When they're looking most distracted, they may actually be taking in the most.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So what is your plan for Hot Chocolate Circle?
So we would love Hot Chocolate Circle just to be able to run all over Queensland, all over New South Wales, wherever we can, just get it out there, try and help as many young girls as we possibly can. Just even through this first Hot Chocolate Circle that we did, there were so many important decisions that decisions and conversations that stemmed from it. And for confidentiality purposes, I don't want to share too much, but there was one girl that we potentially could have saved her life through this Hot Chocolate Circle.
Amazing.
So,
And is it like, have you got 8 different topics? How many sessions of there?
Yeah, so we've got 8 sessions and they're all based. So for our first one, it was on coping with stress, and all 8 sessions were on coping with stress.
Yeah.
And then the next one we'll have on overcoming depression, and then we'll have on building healthy friendships, because we just feel you can't fit everything into 1 hour session. We want to spread it out.
For someone else to duplicate this, you've already got all the resources.
Yes.
And so they can use a resource and go and create a Hot Chocolate Circle in their community.
Do you have them online for people to purchase, or do they have to register with you so that you can teach the course for them to teach to others? Is that how it works?
So Hot Chocolate Circle is a small project out of a really big project that we're building at the moment. So the project MiiND that Ange introduced in the beginning.
Yeah.
So MiiND is a free interactive mental health platform, and it's got 2 sides. So the one side of MiiND is for teenagers, and it's called My Room.
Yeah.
So once they click on My Room, it's really cute. It looks like a virtual room. There's a bed and a bedside table and a little gratitude journal. There's a calendar. There's a mirror, a fidget spinner. There's all these different elements in the room.
Yeah.
And each element represents a different workbook or a different strategy. So the fidget spinner represents the coping with stress workbook. And so all the resources that we also have used in the Hot Chocolate Circle is available for free by clicking on that little fidget spinner. So it's interactive, where it also starts with what is stress? How does stress affect our bodies? What are the symptoms? And then it's got techniques like body scanning with videos attached that they can do it themselves. We've got calming exercises, mindfulness exercises.
It's very cute. She gave me a behind-the-scenes look of this website the other day. It's so impressive. Like, it's really interactive. It's of a high standard. It's not launched yet, though, is it?
No, we're launching the 15th of September.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
So very close to launch, but I was really impressed. And
Yeah, I love this so much. I think it's amazing.
But you haven't, it's not just for teenagers, though, is it?
No, so yeah, it's two sides. So the teenagers can use the resources, but then on the other side, it's called the MiiND Lounge.
Yeah.
So this side is to support parents and caregivers, mentors, psychologists, anyone that's involved in the mental health journey of that young person can use this side of the website. And we also have free resources for them. So how can I help my young person to cope with stress? And then we've created scripts and mindfulness calendars and self-care calendars and all sorts of things that they can download on this section of the website. We also have a community page where people can go and search for mental health professionals or services that's in their area, so they can set the location and find someone in the area. And then we also have an event section where we advertise the Hot Chocolate Circle and mental wellbeing presentations that we do at schools.
This is brilliant.
Isn't it?
If you're
platform.
listening, it's, what is it, MiiND?
MiiND. Yeah,
www.mind.org.au. Okay, I'll say that again.
But MiiND has 2 eyes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so MiiND with 2 eyes.org.au.
Yes.
So-
Is the extra eye because it's interactive?
It's so it resembles my mind.
Right.
Yeah,
My
mind.
mind. Very
my
clever.
mind.
Oh, this is brilliant, because there are so much mental health issues at the moment, and like you went through with COVID, a lot has actually come out through COVID. People navigating their way through that and the repercussions of what happened during that time and still happening. So to have that resource, especially for young people and parents to access and to be able to help their young people as well, I think this is brilliant. And I think people need to log on and get involved with this.
Yeah.
I really
I mean,
congratulate you.
what I love about it is it's not just resources for teenagers, but resources for the parents of,
Yes.
and that, that, it's just can't get that information. And so many parents are concerned for their young people in their life and absolutely clueless. What do I do about this? How do I reach my teenage daughter? I know that she's going through something. And so to have those resources available for free is incredible, Carmen, really.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm excited for the launch of this for you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah,
And
we're
if I
really
could-
excited.
If I can go to the gold, I just see everything in your life has been positioned for this moment, which is amazing. And you can see that even the hard times that you went through, you wanted to escape after that and not go back to it. But it was exactly what you went through that has given you the understanding and compassion that is now going to give you another level of depth for this interaction with the young people. And that heart that you had for young people since you were but you still are, but but when you're a younger person, always wanting to help young people, it's all directed to this, hasn't it? It's amazing. And you're such a beautiful person, Carmen. I can see that any interaction that you're having with these girls, they'll just be looking at you like you're a beautiful role model and intelligent, and you've got all the resource and foundation to back up everything that you're teaching, the research. It's going to be very effective. And
I agree.
I think you've got this foundation at this. You're only 25, so intelligent, so,
Thank you.
Accomplished.
Yeah. You're starting on an amazing foundation. You've had life experience that some people haven't gone through those challenges until later, but you've gone through it early because you're going to be able to cope with it and then use it for good. So I see this is just the beginning for you. You've set your foundation. It's just going to be great.
And I love the idea with the Hot Chocolate Circle. I think that is so important. I know I mentioned to you when I saw you the other day that I'm aware of an organisation in the UK that do a thing called Pink Letters.
Yeah.
And they do handwritten letters to teenage girls because they need interaction. They need those connection points. And whether it's around hot chocolate, whether it's a letter, you've created something that is going to draw young people and create a really secure environment for them to be able to open up. And I'd love to see that duplicated. You've got all the resource. So if anyone else actually wants to do that in their community, then how can they get in touch with you to access the resources that you have?
So when we're launching the 15th of September, everyone will have free access to the resources, so they can download it from the website, or they can email us at I think it's mind@strengthpotential.com.au, and then from there I'll talk to them about the hot chocolate circle.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Now, there is something that you missed, Beck.
Oh, yes.
By the way, I love the gold.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was just like, you couldn't wait to get that out.
Oh, yes. I
You were
love
bubbling
this
over.
because I have daughters, and I know how much they were impacted by some similar things in their schooling. And I just know what a great asset to have that resource for kids who don't actually know where to turn when they're going through things. And to have something like that that's accessible.
And mental health issues are on the rise exponentially.
Yes.
So to have that resource is amazing.
Yeah.
Before I tell you what
Tell
you
me
missed,
next, yes.
I have a question, because I want to know, what do you think is the main cause of mental health concerns? I know your focus is young girls, but for young people.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many things that can impact a person's mental well-being. Social media is definitely one of the biggest ones at the moment. I also think that more and more people are actually talking about their mental health at the moment. So although it seems like it's rising and it's getting worse, I think more people just talking about it. So it seems like the stats are rising, but it's just because people are talking about it now. And young people are amazing. There's still a lot of stigma, but they also take charge of their mental well-being now, and they can see that it's something they have to prioritize, which I think is an amazing
which really comes from talking about it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just getting it out in the open.
I think there's a whole self-awareness thing as well. We're younger people are becoming a lot more self-aware than perhaps our generation were.
For sure.
And that's really important to know, actually, I need to take a rest, or, you know, perhaps my workload is too much, as you've experienced. So I think we are equipped a lot more for a younger generation to be able to manage our lives a little bit better with the tools and resources that we have. That's good. So going to the thing that you missed was...
Do tell me.
So Carmen moved over from
South
Africa when she was 18. She's 25 now.
Yes.
Does she sound Afrikaans?
No, not really. I can hear little things. Like there's little flecks of
but she could not speak a word of English.
No. Really?
A little bit, not a lot. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Afrikaans is my first language, so I could understand English, and our TV shows were always in English as well. But we never spoke English in South Africa. It was always Afrikaans.
Yeah, wow. That's
so
amazing.
when I came here, I really had to get a grip of speaking English and figuring out the tenses, because that was really challenging.
And then do all these degrees while tackling the English language. That's incredible.
And meeting her husband.
Oh, yeah. So is your husband Australian?
Yes.
You met him over here?
Yeah, he's Australian.
Oh, wow. Well, I wouldn't have known that you've only been speaking English for 7 years.
She's a high achiever.
You
that we have discovered. And so you've even got rid of the accent, which is amazing. So,
I actually like the balance you've got with the accent and the Australian. It's actually a nice combination of the two, isn't it? Yeah, the little
South African
flex in your words and things. But love it. Oh, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show. I love what you're doing. I love your life story, and you're going to continue to impact so many people, so many young people. You're doing exactly what you desired to do.
Yeah.
And it's
and
great.
what you're meant to be doing.
Yes.
And I think you know that, and I do see this going from strength to strength. I know you're with strength to potential, but
you found your purpose at a young age, and
very lucky.
That's awesome. That's great.
So how can people find you on social media and follow the journey to launch date?
Yes, so they can just go on Instagram and just type in MiiND with 2 I's. So on Instagram it's MiiND AU.
I can do it right now.
And then Hot Chocolate Circle is just Hot Chocolate Circle on Instagram as well, and then same with LinkedIn and Facebook.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thanks, Carmen, so much for joining us. I'm so inspired by your story. Such a young person doing such an incredible work. So thank you.
I got
Thank
it.
you for
I'm
having
following
me.
you now. Lovely. Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Honey, you're my sugar.
You were really impressed with Carmen, weren't you?
I am. Yes, I love what she's doing. She's amazing.
Yeah, she's so young and is accomplishing so much.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with just this purpose on her life at such a young age. So accomplished. Now feeding it back into the young people, just as what she always wanted to do. But all circumstances have now led to place her in this perfect positioning to be able to implement what she's learnt.
I love the fact she's only 25.
Yeah.
And she is in her sweet spot.
Yeah.
And didn't even know that she was until her friend said, no, this is what you're doing.
I know. And what a blessing that friend just planted that onto her and just said, no, don't even think of going this other way, like wedding planning or whatever it is.
Floristry.
You're meant to be doing this, and just got her back on the right track.
And then suddenly that door opens. Like that story about she goes to meet this person and then suddenly she realises she's in a job interview.
She didn't even know what job for, and yet it was the most perfect job she's applying for without knowing she's applying for it.
And then one step leads to another and another open door. And now this platform, MiiND, that's soon to be launched. I'm so excited for it to be launched because I can see the potential of that being huge. And she's done such a good job at it.
Yes, and it's something that is meant to happen, like for this moment in time. I think it's just going to be so effective.
Yeah, and she's done all the fundraising herself.
Yeah.
She's done grant applications. People have come on board and she's raised the finances to create the website.
Yeah.
Obviously, still ongoingly would need more finances for Hot Chocolate Circle and those. But she's so accomplished and so determined. Yeah.
She's a mighty little woman, I tell you.
Yeah.
She's going to make waves.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And she's going to really help a lot of young people with their mental health. She's literally going to save lives.
I'm honestly, and I said this to you before, I feel so excited about this. Like, I don't know, something in me while listening to her, I'm just like, this is great. Like, I'm so excited about what she's doing.
It's so timely.
Yeah.
And the world needs it.
Absolutely. So
jump on board,
definitely.
Help her, support her, follow her Instagram. If you want to donate into that, go to MiiND.au, I think it is. .org. And just jump on board. Let's support Carmen because we know that she's just a world changer. Yeah. So that's it for today's podcast. You'll find us on all the major podcast platforms. The podcasts come out every Wednesday. We'd love to hear from you on our socials, the Gold Diggers Podcast. Tell us about your story so we can find the gold in you.
Easy as pie, lemon, apple or cherry. Loving you is so very sweet, sweet, sweet. How can it be such a piece of cake? And your smile is the icing. Loving you is a poem. Honey, you're my sugar.